What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Other Guys on the Badlands Podcast Network. I'm Jake Chatsky, joined as always by my partner in crime, Paul Kilgallen. Paul, how you doing, and where are you coming from today?
I'm doing good. I am down the shore. I'm in a garage. We uh, we rent the same house every summer, and this is actually the same garage that we recorded one of our first ones together last summer in when we were talking about training camp cuts or something. I was sitting right over there, but I'm doing good. I'm getting ready to relax for the week. It always takes me 3 or 4 days to get there, but I'm getting ready to relax. I did notice that under your name in our little podcast window here, it says Jake Jets fan, and I'm jealous of you. I need a moniker like that, but no, we're good. We figured, we just hit you with 5 hours of quarterback content, culminating in an hour and 45 minutes of Zach Wilson. So we thought maybe today we would do like keep it light, do like 2 hours.
Yeah, we're deep into the off season now. We've done the deep dive, research portion, and we're going to give ourselves a little break. And by doing that, we wanted to show something that's like kind of reflective of both of our personalities, something that's a little lighter, a little fun. And so we're going to be doing a draft. The draft is one of the main components of the Badlands Podcast Network, and it's time for us to get into a draft. But this is an off-season type of draft, so it's a little more fun. I have this graphic that I made that Paul and I are going to be referencing throughout the episode. Joe's going to drop it in the Discord when the episode drops. We'll tweet it out so you guys can follow along. But essentially, I'm sure you've seen these online before. It's one of those you have $15 to build a roster on a budget, and we're going to be doing the Jets offense edition. So we've got 5 categories. We've got quarterback, obviously, running back. We got 2 wide receiver categories, and I sort of broke it down into like more modern players and then like Jets legends that we've obviously heard of, but maybe didn't necessarily get to see a lot, play a lot. And then because we were gonna do tight ends, but then Paul and I were kind of going through it, and it was like we were gonna pick between 2 people at the end of the day. So like finding 5 for the graphic wasn't necessarily the most you know productive thing to talk about, and really didn't give us as many options of roster building. So instead of tight ends, we went with coaches. So coach is going to be the 5th slot that we're going to be drafting from. Paul, I'm going to run through this graphic in a minute, but you excited about this?
Yeah, I am pumped. I am pumped. Doing a little prep for it today, kind of looking at like, trying to fill out some names at the bottom, trying to look through some old stats to figure out like, should this person really be here, or is this just my memory that's putting this person here? And it was a fun exercise to get started for, and it was actually like kind of hard to narrow it down to 5 players in each slot. So we'll get into that, but interesting. You wouldn't think the Jets would be hard to find, but
Yeah. Obviously, there's some limitations to what we're doing, right? And like, if I'm missing a person who's on this graphic that you think should be on there, yell at me on the internet. Obviously we have to find people that would fit appropriate slots. And if you think people are, not ranked appropriately, that's where you find value in these drafts, right? So that's kind of the name of the game. But just to go through it, obviously it is an audio medium. I know this is bad podcasting, so just bear with me for a minute. I'm going to just run through the graphic really quickly. So if you don't have it in front of you, you can follow along. In the quarterback tier, for $5, we got the only man who ever won a Super Bowl for the Jets, Joe Namath. At the $4 tier, we got possibly the most talented player at the quarterback position to ever put on a Jets jersey, current quarterback Aaron Rodgers. At number 3, I put Vinny Testaverde. Number 2, Chad Pennington. And for $1, back-to-back AFC champion participant, Mark Sanchez. In the running back tier, $5, Hall of Famer Curtis Martin. $4 went modern, Breece Hall. $3, possibly underrated, Thomas Jones. $2, really put him in here so that we could have some discussion about him and his thoughts over the weekend, Le'Veon Bell. And $1, I put Sean Green. In the wide receiver tiers, going really quickly, the modern tier, Keyshawn at the 5, Brandon Marshall at the 4, Garrett Wilson for $3. We got Lavernius Coles at $2 and Eric Decker for $1. In the legends column, we've got Don Maynard for $5, Wesley Walker for $4, Wayne Corbett for $3, Al Toon for $2, and Badlands legend Jericho Cotchery for $1. And then in our coaching tier, $5, we got the big tune-up Bill Parcells, $4 Rex Ryan, $3 Herm Edwards, $2 Bob Sala, and $1 spend your money wisely. Otherwise, you'll be stuck with Adam Gase. So, Paul, now that we've set that up, uh, I'm going to defer to you here because I made the graphic. So, first off, without giving away any draft strategy, overall thoughts on my ability to set up a graphic like this.
The graphic is beautiful. I love the graphic. Nobody, matches you in terms of being a goddamn pro at doing all this stuff and doing everything you do. Jake,
Where's the
Jake and
but?
I were on here for 5 minutes beforehand trying to get set up for this, and he was making me change settings on my microphone because I sound like an idiot because I'm in a garage. So Jake's a pro. The graphic is great, but Jake and I were arguing over text message all day about who should be in the wide receiver category and who shouldn't be. And I had to convince him 3 separate times to leave Rob Moore in the category. I'm like sending him Rob Moore stats while I'm on the beach with my family. And at the end of the day, at like 8 o'clock, Jake texts me and he's like, yeah, no, Rob Moore's out, dude. So no matter what, I couldn't get Rob Moore in there. Surprisingly good career from Rob Moore. I think, there's a couple, like it hurts to not have Bilal Powell in here. But like, I understand why, right? Like it makes sense. I get it. The
really
quarterback
on him over Sean Green. No,
but Sean Green can make a case too, dude. Like they were they were, those were good teams. Those were fun times. Bilal suffered kind of just being on bad teams for a while. So Rob Moore, I hated being left out. I also hated Santana Moss being left out. And Eric Decker is the one that like I'm having a hard time being okay with being in this graphic because he wasn't even the best wide receiver on the team when he was here. And like whatever, it was a good free agent signing, but I just didn't want Eric Decker in here. And then as far as the tight ends go, like I think you're implying that I was going to pick somebody modern. I was going to go Mickey Schuler all day, dude. So, but to the point, like 4 out of the 5 tight ends we would have had to put in here were, kind of like older status. And, we don't want to alienate, the older crowd here, but we don't want to alienate the younger crowd either. So we went with coaches instead. But the graphics good. I'm excited to do this. You do see these all over the internet. This is fun.
Awesome. So we're about to dive into it. And because I made the graphic, little peek behind the curtain here, we started discussing this and I was like, fuck it, we'll hit record and let everyone hear this play out. Paul, because I made the graphic, I was going to give you first pick, but we are doing a snake draft. So the person who picks second obviously gets the third pick. So I will defer to you. Do you want me going first or would you like to step up to the plate and take the first overall pick here?
I got to tell you, when you told me you had a strategy, you took me back a little bit. Like I didn't have a strategy. I looked at this and I'm like, all right, here's where I'm going to go. Here's where I can find value, but I don't have a strategy. So you scared me a little bit. So I think I'm going to make you go first.
Okay, great. I'm happy to go first. So with the first overall pick, there's a lot of great players all over the board in a whole bunch of categories, which is surprising because we're talking about the Jets. But obviously, we got Jets legends. But one of the things that I think you cannot understate the value of is the person running the team. So I'm spending $5. I'm spending a third of my budget. I'm taking Bill Parcells. The only
that's literally
who has a Super Bowl.
That's literally who I was going to pick first. And you scared me out of going first by saying you had a strategy. That's who I was going to pick, dude. That's brutal. And I had the same reasoning. It's that Bill Parcells can cover up anything else, right? He's the only person on this entire list that can cover up anything else and work with what you give him. So, man, you took me out there. All right, so I guess with the second pick, I am going to go Curtis Martin, and that's probably more of an emotional pick than anything else. Curtis, he rushed for 1,000 yards, I think in his first 9 consecutive NFL seasons. The guy was a workhorse. They talked about it on the Rewatchables a couple weeks ago on both of them, actually, but specifically in the Jacksonville playoff game, that Curtis Martin at the time had like an Ezekiel, just to give a modern comparison. I'm not trying to compare the players, but like in their kind of nose for the goal line, like you just give Curtis the ball at the goal line, he's going to find the end zone. Whether he has to hesitate or hit the hole hard or whatever he needs to do, he's going to find a way to get the ball over the line. And so I'm going to take Curtis Martin, and I think part of it too is also just like childhood, good memories. Like that was when things were really, really good for a pretty long stretch of time. So I'm going to go Curtis Martin, and then I'm going
Wait,
to check. Go ahead.
before you move on, just a little bit on Curtis Martin. Obviously, like when you take one of the Hall of Famers on the draft board, no one can knock the pick. I will say it's 2024 and you're spending the bulk of your budget on a running back. So that's an interesting draft strategy, just if I'm poking holes, not to like knock Curtis Martin or anything. But yeah, obviously, childhood hero. Everyone had the Curtis Martin jersey growing up. I can't knock the pick too hard.
Dude, between you telling me you have a strategy and then taking Bill Parcells when that was going to be the first pick that I took, and then now knocking my first pick, you have me like full Mr. Krabs meme right now. Like I don't know what to do. I'm on my heels right now, dude.
Listen, I
Um,
propose this format. I'm more of an expert in drafts potentially, or draft podcasts, I should say.
Damn. All right. I'm gonna go Keyshawn next, and I'm going to figure out what I need to
Wow.
do with the remaining budget. But I'm going to go running back, wide receiver duo, Keyshawn and Curtis Martin. I've talked about this with Keyshawn every time he's come up in our conversations in the past. When he got here, my family still had season tickets at that time. We sat in section 310, and the preceding couple seasons had been bad. Like the stands were empty, people were fighting. Like it was like to be a little kid in that environment. Like everybody was hammered everywhere, everybody was angry. There were fights all the time. Like the stadium was mayhem, dude. It was out of control, and they just sucked. They sucked for like an extended period of time. And then Keyshawn gets here, and one of his first home games, he scores his first touchdown in the Meadowlands. And I remember he ripped off his helmet, spiked his helmet on the ground, and then just like turned to the crowd and did like a gladiator move, like "Are you not entertained?" with his arms type of move. And my entire family up in the 300s was like, "Oh my God, who is this guy? Like we have not seen anything like this in several years here. Like nobody has given a shit this much in a long time." And so I, for as badly as it ended with Keyshawn, and the shit he talked about Corbett, and kind of like he ended up bouncing around a lot in his career. He went to a bunch of teams after the Jets. At the end of the day, him and Parcells and Curtis Martin were like the franchise changing pivot that took us from that 90s suck into like the late 90s 2000s roll that we got on that kind of concluded in 2011. They were all the catalysts for that. And because of that, like soft spot in my heart for Keyshawn forever. I love the guy. He can't do anything wrong. So I'm going with Keyshawn.
It's an awesome